On behalf of my father and the Miller family, I would like to congratulate everyone being inducted into the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame. You are being recognized for your hard work, dedication, and love of sports. I would like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for your selection of Eddie and putting on this event. It is truly a first-class event. We would also like to thank Tom Frank and his family for recognizing my father tonight. I only have a few minutes to speak tonight, and there are too many people to thank who helped Eddie achieve his athletic dreams. His family, friends, and coaches all influenced Eddie's life. But if there was one person he would have thanked tonight, it would have been his mother, Bernadette. Eddie's father died when he was just 4 years old, and his mother raised 3 sons. His brothers Mike and Patrick are in attendance tonight, and I've always been very proud of Eddie. Sports were always a big part of Eddie's life. As a young boy, he would listen to radio announcer Kay Wood Lefford call Kentucky Wildcat basketball games. My dad played for Ole Miss in Lexington to play the Wildcats. Eddie and a few of his teammates would walk around the stadium a few hours before the game. Kentucky's assistant coach, Joe B. Hall, ran into my dad. He looked at my dad and said, "You're that Miller boy from Pennsylvania. I know who you are." Eddie was in the starting lineup that night and heard Memorial Coliseum's announcer say, "Number 22, from Altoona, Pennsylvania, Eddie Miller." His childhood dream had come true. There had always been rumors and whispers about my dad being inducted into the Hall of Fame one day. My dad was excited when he got that phone call that he'd be inducted. He tried to downplay his excitement, but I could tell he was giddy like a little schoolgirl on the inside. We walked into Mike's court shortly after his Hall of Fame announcement. Mike Luciano popped up from the bar and yelled, "Hey, there's Eddie Miller, the Hall of Famer." We all laughed, and Mike talked about how excited he was for Eddie. Something that made us all feel good was the genuine excitement and happiness people had for my dad's Hall of Fame induction. It showed us how much Eddie meant to others. My dad was a phenomenal storyteller. His stories about his athletic career and travels along the way could leave you in tears from laughter. There are several stories that I simply can't share with you into a microphone. However, there is one story I will share with you. Sorry, Dad, don't be mad at me for this one. My dad played for Ole Miss in the 1960s, and there weren't too many Catholics in Oxford, Mississippi at that time. Somehow, my dad managed to befriend a local priest. One day, the priest called my dad and asked for a favor. Eddie went over to the priest's house, and Father stated he was going out of town for a few days and wanted my dad to pick up the mail. My dad said there was no problem, and the father gave the keys to the rectory to my dad. This was a bad choice. Eddie told his teammates about his tasks, and the next thing he knew, they were having a party at the rectory. True. However, it didn't end there. They also invited several sororities. Eddie never told me what happened at that party, but from the tears rolling down his face from laughter and his difficulty breathing when he told me that story, I imagine it was a pretty good party. The next morning, he and his teammates cleaned up the priest's house. However, the cat was out of the bag. Several of the neighbors knew the priest didn't routinely party with the Kappa Delta sorority, and my dad was ratted out. He had to meet with the priest, his coach, athletic director, and the university president. My dad was apparently a good player and a good enough Catholic, and he was absolved of all of his sins. I can see my dad leaving the president's office, closing the door with a big smile coming over his face. I'm sure he was relieved he didn't have to tell his saint of a mother he was kicked out of college, but he smiled because he knew he made a lifetime of memories with his teammates. My brother Ron and I were fortunate to go with my dad to Oxford a few years ago for a basketball reunion with his teammates and coach. We toured the stadium where my dad played, walked around campus, went to a game, and had dinner with his coach and teammates. My dad had a big smile and an infectious laugh, but my brother and I noticed something different that weekend. He laughed a little louder, and his smile was a little wider with his teammates. We heard stories about their playing days, but most importantly, we saw how special his relationship was with his teammates and his time at Ole Miss was some of the best times of his life. My dad was an all-around athlete and played basketball, football, and baseball. He once threw a football 70 yards in the air in a high school game, but the receiver dropped the ball. Doug doesn't have to worry about that. He scored 72 points in an 8th grade game and scored 50 points for Bishop Guilfoyle against Bellwood. Sorry to all the Bellwood people here. When he got home from the game that night, his mom said to him, "Why didn't you let the other boys shoot?" There was never a shot my dad didn't like. Mississippi State was Ole Miss's arch rivals. They allowed cowboys in that stadium, and the noise was deafening. Eddie made a game-winning jumper against Mississippi State in the final seconds and silenced their fans. He got a standing ovation when he walked into the class the next morning. He played against LSU's Pistol Pete Maravich, who averaged 44 points per game. Eddie was tasked to guard Pistol Pete and shut him down that night. He only scored 42. There is a photo of Eddie shooting a jump shot right in Pistol Pete's face, documented in the paper with the title, "Poor Pete." As I was preparing for the speech, I read something Eddie had jotted down for his speech prior to his death. He said, "I was going to tell you how good I was, but that won't happen. I can't remember all the games, but I can remember all the people I met along the way. There is a reason I told you these stories. Despite of all of Eddie's athletic accomplishments, he valued the relationships, friends, and memories he made throughout his athletic career more than anything. He valued meeting his wife, Susan, in the halls of Bishop Guilfoyle and having 4 children. Maybe that's why his stories were so good. It was his way of bringing his family and friends together. As time goes on, I will think about tonight's event. I will think about the memory of my father, his athletic accomplishments, and his enshrinement. But most importantly, I will think of the special evening I had with friends and families, just like my dad would have. I will think of the stories, laughs, conversations, meeting new people, and I will think about the night I met my new best friend, Doug Flutie. "22 for life." In closing, to Eddie's fellow Hall of Fame inductees, you will think about tonight's event. You will think of your athletic accomplishments, a crucial play in a big game, and tonight's ceremony. You will be enshrined into the Blair County Sports Hall of Fame for the rest of your lives. But the joy, laughter, and friends you made during your athletic career will last you for an eternity. Again, congratulations to all the inductees tonight. Thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of my father, and enjoy the evening. Hotty toddy.